Well, a lot of people are calling for a Black Monday here, and some really well-known individuals are calling for a Black Monday. Oh wait, it's Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer says it's going to be a Black Monday. We're good. We're good, everybody. We're going to the moon. This is amazing. You see this, right? Never mind. I guess this isn't a problem after all. I think we're going to be all right. Things are going to be okay. I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, we're seeing a lot of crazy stuff going on right now when it comes to, especially the silver price right now. So we saw a massive sell-off right at the open and then a huge recovery, and now it's fallen back down to about 30 right here. So it's getting pretty interesting. It's funny to me though, because right now really is a time where you have to kind of develop your thesis and go, what do I want to own more of for the next 5-10 years? What do I want to own more of for the next 2 years? Develop whatever that thesis is and own things. So many people, they go, I bought Bitcoin at 100,000 and now I need to get it to 100,000 so I can sell it and make a profit or just get my money back, rather. Most investors are like that. It's kind of crazy, actually. There's people that bought silver at, say, like 25, and then they fell down to 18, and they go, oh, I can't wait till it's 25 again so I can get my money back. It's like, you develop your strategy and go, wow, I get to own more of this. I get to own more of this at a better price. And that's once you've kind of made up your mind on what you think is going to be the big thing the next 5, 10. Personally, I tend to have about a 5 to 10 year horizon on my investments, but I think more people need to be thinking like that when you look at this Black Monday type situation here. When you look at this, I go, I want more cash on the sideline so I can start deploying this. Because really, when you actually understand exactly what's going on, it becomes very clear where this money's going to go. And we talked about that in the prior video. First, it's been a while, guys. It's been a while. I haven't made a live stream in a little while, so let me know how the quality is, because I just reset up a whole new set and all of this stuff, and I'm getting everything dialed in. I'm rusty, so let me know if the sound quality is okay, if the video quality is okay. Would appreciate it. I'm seeing some of the comments here. What's up, vacation time? How are you? See some familiar faces in here. But please let me know how the quality is. But let's keep going with the video here. Tree Climber says the gold to silver ratio is 102.5 to 1. That's pretty insane. It's pretty insane. But when we look at the prices here, so Bitcoin finally did get some volatility. It was staying, we were talking about in the prior video I made yesterday, I was talking about how it was pretty flat, and it was interesting how it was flat. And finally it did get a little bit of a pullback here down to 77.8. That's interesting. But the other thing is, when we talk about gold went up so much that when you zoom out the chart, it's just kind of a blip. It's not that big of a pullback in gold when you zoom out the chart. And that's why but the silver got hit really hard. So that gold to silver ratio has gotten extremely wide. And every time it gets over 100 to 1, historically, that's been a really good opportunity. And that's probably why we're seeing this kind of a fluctuation in silver. It's these last couple days here, I mean, this is a little bit of an irrational sell-off, just how much that really just sold off from its peak at 34.50 down to a bottom of 28.50, and then a recovery about to 30 right now. But it had even a more dramatic recovery, almost to 31, and then now it's pulled back down to 30. Moving around dollars at a time in the silver all over the place. So, but over 101 ratio is absolutely insane when it comes to silver. But that's the thing. It's like, if you develop your thesis and you go, okay, this is what's going to happen, and this is where I want my assets to be, this is where I want my capital to be, it makes it very clear and easy. Now, is anybody who owns silver excited to see this, to see a fall from 34.50 down to 28.50? Maybe some of them. Maybe some of them who think this way and want to own more ounces. They're thinking in terms of ounces, not in terms of dollars. But wow, I get to own more ounces. I have this much of this fiat currency and I can get more ounces of this. So some people are happy about it. But a lot of people, even including myself, I look at that and I go, ow, that doesn't feel good. That hurts. Because this pile of silver right here, so this is actually a real 600 ounces of silver right here. The value of this has literally been fluctuating thousands of dollars every minute. Or buy this like every 30 minutes or so, is moving thousands of dollars. So, but at the same time, it's still the same metal on my table. It's still the same 600 ounces on my table. No matter what this digital number says, this is still 600 ounces of silver. That's the crazy thing to think about is I still have it. It's still on my table. It hasn't moved anywhere. It's sitting right there. And in fact, has done nothing but sit there and be a metal on shiny rock on my table. But we see the numbers of it fluctuating all over the place based on if I want to exchange it into this system and convert it into dollars, into fiat currency. Very interesting to think about it in that way. But overall, what we had talked about in the prior video was what's going to happen here. Powell's pretty much in a corner right now, and he has no choice but to probably drop the federal funds rate. And if he drops the federal fund rate, we're going QE to infinity again. There's really no way out of it. They have to do this. So it's just really a matter of time. And I think Trump just kind of is like sitting there nudging Powell going, you going to do it or what? How long is it going to take? And he's sitting there going with the QE button on his table. And he's just like, should I press it? Should I not press it? Should I press it? Should I not press it? I don't know if I want to give him his way. I don't know if I want to give him his way. I feel like that's what it is. It's like a person that's being stubborn that doesn't want to give Trump his way and doesn't want to let it drop. But really, there is room to go down quite a bit. I mean, it has pulled back already from the high of 5.33 down to now 4.33. So a buck back on the federal funds rate. But realistically, they're probably going to drop this in a dramatic way, which in that, what happens when they drop that is that it just makes QE happen with the commercial banks. The commercial banks give out more loans, more money appears out of thin air because there isn't any money to back this money. It's just basically allowing them to loan out money at lower prices. More people take the loans, more thin air money into the system. And that's what's going to happen. And where does that money go? It goes right into the stock market. It goes right into metals. It goes right into house prices. It's just a QE to infinity game. And really, there's nothing that can be done, especially when you look at the national debt. That's why it makes me laugh with everything going on with Elon Musk right now. I'm going to be one of the people that just vocally says, I think he's awesome. I think he's awesome. I think he made a big mistake. I think his salute was rather not a good look. But I think that at the end of the day, he was trolling and got caught in a troll and he didn't want to admit to it. And I'm very proud of the things that they're doing right now. I mean, who in their right mind, when you talk about like the negative stuff going on, when there's like stuff in the mainstream media and whatnot talking about, oh, this is horrible, he's cutting jobs and this and that. It's like, there were people in my mind, I think to myself, there shouldn't be one person on Social Security that's 120 years old. There shouldn't be one, let alone hundreds or thousands of them. The fact that there's many, many, many people who are above the record-setting age that you could possibly be as a human, accepting and cashing checks from Social Security is insane to me. And I'm glad they caught that. Like, that's absolutely insane. So if people can say they're not finding legitimate problems, it's like, no, they're definitely finding legitimate problems over there. And yeah, but that's part of what's going on right now. And so if you look past the smoke and mirrors and you go, okay, here's the drama of what's going on. This is how it's affecting the markets. This is what people are saying about it. What is the common sense truth of what's going on here? Apart from what the media is telling me, apart from what everybody's telling me, past the smoke and mirrors, what is the thing here? And that's why I looked at one of the things that I'm looking at right now. And what I wanted to talk about is picking off the things that you really want to own more, whether you want to own more silver, you want to own more gold, you want to own more of a stock. For me specifically, I like silver, I like gold as well, but I also like Tesla stock. I think Tesla stock is extremely undervalued here. And I'm one of those crazy people that thinks that because I just see the future and what that company can do. And I believe in Elon. Who wants to bet against Elon? It's like, remember when people were betting against GameStop? Imagine betting against a guy relanding rockets right now. That's like his best friend is Trump. You do not want to bet against that guy. And oh, by the way, Tesla's got like 35 billion or something in the bank right now. So they're not exactly going to go bankrupt anytime soon. People tend to forget about their cash pile. But let's talk about Tesla, for example. So because this video is about Black Monday, and my kind of overall sentiment is I get an opportunity to own more of things that I like, things that I think are going to be much bigger in the next 5-10 years. I get to own more silver. I get to own more gold. I get to own more Tesla stock. So right now I want to talk specifically about Tesla. Because of all of the gossip and the drama and everything going on with Elon, the stock plummeted, and including everything because everything fell due to these tariff talks, but fell from its peak of almost 500 down to a bottom of 219 over a couple month period. Like, talk about opportunities to own things. This stock to me was exciting when it was in this level, but you look at it, you okay, if I can buy it down here, if it falls from 240 and I'm underwater on my position and it continues down to 140, I get to own more shares of that specific thing that I believe is going to do well in the future. That's a great opportunity right there. I think that people get irrational when they look at the numbers of the dollars going down in value and not think about their shares. Go, I get to own X amount of shares. I get to own 1,000 more shares or this many more shares at this price. Now I can afford more of them, or now I can afford more ounces of silver. It's an opportunity situation. And my overall take on it is I think this is going to rebound tremendously. I think the overall stock market will rebound tremendously. Now, what's that time period? I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be buying opportunities for the next week, for the next day, for the next month, the next 6 months. But I have a feeling it's going to turn around in a very dramatic way, especially when the money printer starts. And seeing the volatility, like for example, in silver, seeing what silver's doing, dropping this much and then randomly going down another $1.50 and then skyrocketing back up another $1.50 and then falling down another $1. This tells me that the markets are going to do some pretty crazy stuff and has the very big potential to rebound. People are feeling very scared right here, and then all of a sudden, boom, rebounds huge. That could happen. And that's what I believe will happen. I believe the QE will happen again, the lower rates again. And also, there's two things to talk about when it comes to what could rebound the Black Monday situation. The first thing is people bending the knee to Trump. That's the first thing. If you have big countries lining up, if China comes and makes a deal and they actually go in our direction and they say, okay, we'll bend the knee, we'll do this, we'll do that. As that continues to happen and Trump wins on some of these, if I was a short seller, for example, and I was laying out, if I was betting short on the market, which is technically what the crowd is going to be doing here, thinking the market's going to panic and collapse. If I'm that and I'm thinking about what could go wrong is they start making deals. And that skyrockets the stock market. If China comes to the table and makes a big deal, India comes to the table and makes a big deal. And if you actually study the tariffs and you go, this is how much they're placing on us, this is how much we want to place on them. And that's also a point I wanted to talk about in this video. They chose like half measures. And I believe that's on purpose to show here's what the pain's going to be. If you decide to respond and retaliate to us, it's going to go up. So they didn't go straight for the exact matches like he said he was going to do. He said he was going to do reciprocal. He didn't do reciprocal. If you study what he dropped, he did half measures. So if somebody had tariffs of 40% on the US, he did 20% on them, roughly. And so all of that half measure situation there was basically, I think this entire thing is, hey, come on down to Mar-a-Lago and let's talk. That's what I think Trump's trying to do. I think he's literally trying to say, you had a week, come on down here and let's talk. We're going on a half measure. We could go more. We could go a full measure if you want to retaliate. I'm giving myself room to retaliate back against your retaliation if you so want to do that. Or you don't retaliate and it stays there. Or you come and negotiate with us and we go down on both of ours and we just don't have them in the first place. Which I think is, from a negotiation standpoint, pretty smart. Pretty smart. That's my opinion on it. I also really like his team around him. I like this Howard Lednick guy. I like pretty much all of the people in his cabinet are aces. They're not people to bet against. That's my opinion of it. I don't think, a lot of people tend to think that it's just like Trump throwing stuff against the wall, hoping something sticks. But really, it's a lot of very, very smart people behind what's going on right here. And the tactic of going half measures, I think, is very smart. So back to the point, if I was a short seller and I was worried about what could go wrong, that's one thing that could go wrong. Or go right, but go wrong if you're betting against the market. If they start making deals, that could be a very, very big bullish thing that spikes things back up. The other thing is things go down so much and it's so scary that Powell starts making announcements and rates start dropping and things like that start happening. That would then cause QE and things would start going up again in that situation. That's my overall take. And I think the way that I would make an analogy about it is, I think the market is going to explode upward and there's going to be QE to infinity. There's going to be more money injected into the system, just like in 2020. And I think it's just a matter of time until that happens. So the analogy I would use is you have a bomb that's going to go off and shoot the market up. It's going to go off. We don't know how long the fuse is, but we know that it's there. We know it's lit. The fuse is a certain length. I don't know exactly how long it is, but it is lit and it is going to the bomb and it is going to happen. That's how I think about the current situation here. And not just a market sell-off could cause the Fed to start printing. It's just the fact that the $1 trillion in debt, or the 9.2 trillion and the $1 trillion in interest alone is coming to maturity, and they have no choice. So when I talked about this in the video prior, but in the live stream, we'll bring it up again and we can all talk about it in the comments and stuff. When you got a national debt of $36.7 trillion, right? And then you have the interest on that is at trillion right there. They really have no options, because with the problem that needs to be understood is they got 9 trillion in debt that's going to mature. I believe it's 9.2 trillion now in debt that's going to mature over the next 12 months. They only have two options. There is no other options. They don't have enough money to pay for that 9.2 trillion, so they have to restructure that debt. And are you just like when you see a person that has a house that they got at a low rate and they don't want to sell it because then they have to restructure at that higher rate, right? We all have a friend like that. Oh, I bought my house when rates were, 1%. I only pay 3% on my note. I can't move because then I'll have to go to 6% on my note. That's exactly the situation our government's in. They have a $9.2 trillion debt that's going to mature over the next 12 years. Are they going to pay it off or are they going to restructure it? Well, they can't pay it off because they don't have the money. Or are they going to restructure it? Oh, wait, what do we restructure it at our own high rates when we have a 4.3% federal funds rate? No, they're going to want to drop it down just like they did in 2020 and have very low rates so they can restructure the debt at a low rate. That's what they're going to want to do. And if they do that, then they allow all the banks to have that low interest rate. And then all the banks give out a bunch of money and QE into infinity happens. And there's a bunch of money flooded into our system. And that's why it's such a good thing to own things outside of this system. Will the stock market probably go up because of this? Yes. But I think there's going to be a disconnection on hard assets because it's going to be so much better to have things outside of that crazy system that you're going to see a huge disconnect in things like silver, gold, Bitcoin, platinum, palladium, things, even houses and things like things that are outside of the fiat system in a sense are going to skyrocket and decouple away from the stock market. The stock market will have gains as well, but I think we're going to finally start seeing a decoupling because really you can't just keep having QE till infinity. You can't keep having your money back to nothing and keep doing things like this. That can't go on forever. And it's finally coming to a point right now that it's destined to happen. And I talked about this in the video prior, but when we go to silver, for example, and this is why I'm so bullish on silver still. People ask me if I'm still bullish on silver. Yeah, I'm still very bullish on silver. I've been bullish. Keep in mind, there's videos of me talking about silver when it was 16, 18. That crazy video with me with all those 100-ounce bars, silver was like $18 at the time or $16, something like that. You can go back to the video. And at the time, I was crazy saying it back then. How about now? It's crazy talking about Bitcoin back at 30,000, 20,000, 60,000 even. I talked about it and people said I was crazy. And how about now? I think that it's just a matter of time before more and more money comes into these systems. But if we specifically look at silver and we go back to the all-time chart, I always bring back the specific timeline here because it's interesting to me. The 2008 timeline, because that's when we saw silver at all-time highs. And what's the craziest part about silver? I got to make a video specifically on silver because people in the live stream, you get my thoughts quicker than, when I make a video about it. But this off the top of my head, and keep in mind, we're unedited just on a live stream right now. Off the top of my head, this is extremely bullish because as a person said in the comments earlier, he said that it's over 100 to 1, which he's right. It's over 100 to 1 on the ratio because silver's all-time high was 50, almost 50, and gold is at all-time highs. It's way past its 2008 high. Want to see how far past? That's how far past it is from its 2008 high. This is the 2011 high, excuse me. 2011 high was at 1900 for gold, and that was its explosion at the same time that silver went to 50. But then gold has this huge jump. Keep in mind, you're talking about tens of trillions on this market cap. Market cap's like around 20 trillion or something in that range right now. But silver has a market cap in the lower trillions. And you go, wait a minute, you're at your all-time high, but silver's not even really close to it? That's crazy. But when you go back to what's interesting about this specific timeline is you see a recession happen. They start the money printer, QE to infinity. This is one of the main QE situations here. Not even close to as bad as we have it today. Not even nearly as bad as we have it today. I'd have to go back and study it, but the national debt was nowhere near $37 trillion like it was where it wasn't like it is now compared to where it was in 2008. So we have a way worse situation. Way more QE would have to happen. Way more debt needs to be paid off. So way more money needs to be printed. And you get yourself put in that situation. And when they did it last time at a much lower situation in 2008, you saw money pile into silver dramatically and go up 600% in a matter of a year and a half, 2 years. It's a pretty big jump for just a couple years. And then on top of that, so that's the first thing that could happen that would make silver skyrocket. But the second thing is that it's not even at its all-time high, and gold went to its all-time highs. Silver never got even close to its all-time highs, and gold broke way through new all-time highs. So it's very, very suppressed, and I'm guessing there's a lot of kind of corrupt type situations happening with silver to keep it down. But also because industry's using it so much, they kind of need the prices to stay down to build stuff with it. And it's a matter of time before they just can't suppress it. They just can't keep holding it down like this. And that's an interesting situation here that's cooking, because you're going to see a situation where they do QE, which is right here. What they did in 2008 is QE time. Money gets printed, things fall in price, and here's your opportunity zone. Right here, this was the time when there was a lot of... let's study this exact time, because this is the human mind studied will go, a person bought silver here, right? A person bought silver at $20 an ounce back in March of 2008. There was a human out there that did this. I guarantee there was a human out there that did this. Bought it at 20. It falls down to $8, $8.60, $8.20, wherever it is here, right? And that human's going, I need it to get back to 20 so I can sell and get my money back. That is so much of the human mind does that. They buy it here. They go, I bought it at 20. I think it's going to go to 60. I think it's going to go to 50. I'm going to double my money, or more than double my money. And then it falls down to 8. And they go, oh, I can't. I got to wait till it comes back so I can sell it. And then it comes back up to 20, and that person sells it. And then meanwhile, the person who bought it here at 20 and goes, wow, I get to buy more at 16. Oh, wow, I get to buy more at 10. I have more ounces now. Oh, wow, I get to buy more at 8. Are you kidding me? I get to buy more at 8? I'm gonna get as much capital as I can get. They're giving this stuff away because they understood what silver was going to do. And then you have a way bigger multiple on your cost average when it finally does happen and explodes to the upside. That's the best type of investors, when you know what you're investing in and you don't get your mind distracted by the short-term situation here, because really that was a rather short timeline here. You're talking about from 08, March of 08, April, June, July, August. So you're talking about 5-6 months of pain that was going on right here, which was your opportunity zone. And then after about 5-6 months, that next year and a half, 2 years, you're looking pretty. That's what I think is going to play out at probably a much bigger scale. That's my 2 cents. And there's all kinds of things. Like I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin, and we can talk about it in this live stream. I'm still very bullish on silver, still very bullish on... A lot of people want me, because it's funny, because there's a lot of nobody in precious metals on YouTube for some reason wants to talk about platinum and palladium. A lot of people bring up platinum and palladium and want me to talk about the platinum group metals again, because there wasn't many videos on it. And maybe I do need to start talking about it again, because I feel like it's just insanity. If you want to know about, because I could sit here and be arrogant all day and say I was right about Bitcoin, I was right about silver, I was right about gold, I was right about this, and that. I was wrong about palladium. I got my butt kicked on palladium pretty good. And I still look at that trade and I go, so undervalued, the platinum group metals. So undervalued. That's just my opinion on it. Specifically, platinum stayed flat, but palladium just got wrecked. Just wrecked. So that's one that I haven't gotten right. If I have to hit my ego a little bit, that if you want to get my ego, that's one. That's the way you could do it. Let's see here. But really, I'm wondering how long, just like we were talking about earlier in the live stream, that the load zone was back. The load zone on silver was back here when it's falling down. That's your load zone, and you have an opportunity here. I'm wondering what the load zones, how long of a timeline that's going to be. So say your load zone, you're trying to make money on silver back in '08. You had your load zone right here. How long is that time horizon going to be today? If we have this big correction happening in the market, if there really is a Black Monday around the corner, I happen to think it's going to be a false flag. I think deals are going to get cut. I'll just say it right now. My take on it, what I think is going to happen, I think deals are going to get cut with Trump. I think people are going to come to the table. They're going to negotiate. I think they're going to cut the deals. They're going to do it in a very public way, and it's going to be very bullish for the market when that happens. And even if that does happen, they still have the $9.2 trillion that's going to come to maturity. So the Fed has to print money. They have to find a way to pay that $9.2 trillion or restructure the note, which either one of those creates QE and puts money into the system. There's no way around it. So that's why somebody like Michael Saylor, for example, people are like, he's insane. He's insane. All he does is leverage himself and keeps buying more and more Bitcoin. He's come to a eureka moment. And there's people that think this way with silver. There's people that think this way with gold. There's people that think this way with real estate. There's people that think this way in all kinds of things. But they come to the same conclusion where they go, the fiat currency system is diluting and there's no way to stop diluting it. It's already diluted. There's no way to stop continuing dilution. And it's just a matter of time before there's just so much fake money in the system and it's going to flood out into these decoupled assets. And that's why you see Saylor and he's so dead set and focused on it. But Saylor's been right about a lot of things in the past. People don't watch his old videos. His new videos are very interesting, but his old videos, if you look at Michael Saylor's old videos, when he talks about Apple stock, when he talks about certain tech companies, and he goes, this is so obvious to me. There's a video, I'm sure some people in the comments know what I'm talking about, but there's a video with Michael Saylor. If you look up like old Saylor video, Apple or something like that, you put. Sorry, my phone was going off. But that's why I listen to the things he has to say, because you look at somebody's track record. Like, for example, if I say I'm bullish on silver, it's pretty good on that one. I was bullish on silver in the low teens, the mid teens. There's videos about it years ago, and it did really well. I talked about how I'm more confident in this specific investment, so I can go in a bigger way. So say somebody's very confident in, I don't know, something I don't believe in. Let's say Ethereum. I don't believe in Ethereum, but say they're very confident in that specific crypto stock, and they go in with, say they believe in Ethereum, but they're not very confident in it. So they're not going to put 100% of their net worth in this. They're going to put, 5%, and they might get a little bit of a return because they put a small percentage. But if with silver, for example, I was so determined back in the teens, I'm like, I know for a fact this is going to at least double in my mind. And so I went, okay, I'm putting my entire net worth on this. I'm not putting 5%, not putting 10%. I'm putting my entire net worth on this because I believe in it that much. So when you double your entire net worth versus getting a 400% gain on 5% of it, it's a much different situation. You make a lot more money in that situation. So right now, he's like, when you're going into a time like this, you have to make your thesis of what's going to be the best possible choice on where to park my money. And then I'm going to go into it in a big way. And I'm going to keep accumulating in a big way, because then I get the huge return when it gets that percentage multiple. So that's why some people, they make fun of us in precious metals, right? They make fun of us and they say, oh, you're only going to get a 20% gain. You're only going to get this much gain. Yeah, a 20% gain on $1 million is 200 grand. There's people like that'll make fun of you. So there's people I know that are in, millions of dollars in gold, let's say, some clients of mine, and they made 20% on $10 million in gold. They made $2 million on this position. And there will be somebody that put 10 grand on a meme stock and they turned it into, or a meme crypto or something, and they turned that 10 grand into 100 grand. And they're like, oh my God, I made a 10x return. I made 90 grand. Wow, I'm the best. Oh, you're 20% return. Meanwhile, this super rich person was sleeping very well at night, didn't worry about crazy fluctuations or anything like that, and absolutely decimated that return. Not even close in the total amount that they made compared to that person. But the person who made that 10x on a smaller amount of money is usually the most vocal. Whereas the person who's making a 20% return on a huge amount of capital, not very vocal about that trade. But that's just something to consider right now. When you look at things like this, you go, okay, how do I double my entire net worth rather than how do I 10x this certain thing? Because when you do that, that's an options trader. Most options traders have screenshots on their phones of when they made a profit. And then you look at the bank account, there's nothing because it expired worthless. Everyone knows an option trader with the screenshots, though. Those valuable screenshots of when they screenshotted that they made some money in 1 week, and then inevitably they lose their money. So right now is not a time to be gambling or speculating on a time horizon, I think, when it comes to this situation at hand. It's a time to be accumulating things and cost averaging into things that you truly believe in and developing a thesis on where you think this certain thing is going to go. A prominent thesis would be when we talk about silver, for example. When we talk about silver, it's pretty realistic to say, I think silver can get to a 50-to-1 ratio. Historically, it was supposed to be 16-to-1. Some say 30-to-1. But when you talk about 100-to-1 on the ratio, 100-to-1 gold to silver ratio, that's pretty out of whack. That's pretty out of whack. So you could say, my thesis is I believe silver is going to get to a 50-to-1 ratio. If it gets to a 50-to-1 ratio, what's that, about $60, $70 an ounce, something like that? That's a pretty good return. It's a pretty great return, actually. So more than a double from here if it gets to a 50-to-1 ratio. Is that right? Well, it depends on where the gold price is at the time. But if we're just using gold's current price, I think it would turn into about, somebody tell me in the comments as a calculator or something for everybody. But yeah, so you could develop, could be your thesis. It's going to get to a 50-to-1 ratio. It's going to double from here to $60 an ounce, right? I'm going to go in big because I truly believe it's going to get to a 50-to-1 ratio. That's a pretty realistic thesis. And you can go in that with a pretty big conviction. So that's something to think about. One of the trades that I'm very interested in, for example, though, so everyone already knows I'm big in silver, I'm big in gold, I'm big in platinum, I'm big in the metals, big in Bitcoin. My Bitcoin position it turned into something way bigger than I had expected because I got in I made videos about Bitcoin in 2020, 2021. So when it turned into, I wanted it to be a 5-10% position in my portfolio, and it turned into more. But one of the things that I'm looking to get into is Tesla here. So that's the all-time chart in Tesla, but I look at the 1 year mainly because also it's like when I look for things when I go, how bad is this drama here? And is this drama true? And the drama that happened from 500, when Trump got elected, it made Tesla skyrocket and more than double, right? So Trump got elected and people saw that as a bullish thing because they were friendly with one another, and that played out. And then the crazy salute thing happened, right? Elon decided to go out there and do this little salute. And I wonder if I should pull that up. Let me see if I could go on my other thing here and just put up. Let's see how bad this looked, right? So here's what Elon did. Elon did that. Not a good look. Not a good look. I'm going to be honest with you. Not a good look at all. Pretty rough. I don't know what he was thinking at that time, but definitely not a good look for Elon at that exact moment there. But the thing is, you can look at that and you look at that salute and you go, okay, what was he doing here? And this is my take on it. I'm going to give my take on it that I don't know if people will agree with me. Maybe people in the comments will, maybe they won't. I'm just going to say it unedited because I don't really care if I get canceled or whatever. But I look at it and I go, he was trolling. He did this 100% on purpose and he was trolling. People were calling him, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that word. Am I allowed to say the word we'll say the other N word. People were calling him the other N word for a long time. And he was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. And what people don't understand is somebody with autism, they think things are funny that other people don't think is funny. They find logic in things that other people don't find logic in. That's what the tism does in a sense. I might have a bit of the tism myself. I don't know exactly, but that is what happens. You find funny in things that are not funny to most people or to some people, and you find logic in things that's not very logical to a lot of people. He went, I can reland rockets. I can for sure reland rockets, no problem. Everybody with logic goes, you're out of your mind. But him specifically, he knew in his mind exactly how to do it, and he did. And that's why he is who he is. So I think when he did that, I genuinely think people were calling him that term for a long time, calling Trump that term for a long time. Very clearly is not that. The only thing that is similar to that party and Elon and Trump is national pride, nationalism. And last time I checked, being a patriot and having national pride is not a bad thing. But last time I checked, neither of them have exterminated millions of people. Neither of them have done that. Neither of them have tried for world domination. Neither of them have done that. Like, the fact that there are people going out there and spray painting. Last time I checked, I have never seen a far right person going and making that symbol and spray painting that symbol. The only human today that is spray painting that symbol is a crazy left lunatic. Like a far left lunatic person is the only person that uses that symbol today. Nobody else does other than them. The only time it's painted, the only time it's scratched into a car is when one of those lunatics does it. That's it, period. Like, you don't see people like that. Just, that's the only time I've seen it, really. And the funny thing is, if somebody on the far right does do that, they're very, very dramatically put down. And so it's like that, you see that happening and you look at everything from the broad scope and you go, okay, very clearly these individuals are not this thing that people are calling them. So then you go, okay, past the smoke and mirrors, past the drama, there's huge opportunity here. And my specific situation is I go, I think Tesla is a huge opportunity. I look down and I go, okay, so because of this stupid gesture, and I will admit to you, if somebody is a very anti-Elon person and you have the bumper sticker on your Tesla saying, I bought this before he was a lunatic. You dorks. You dorks. I've seen that sticker. I bought this before he was a lunatic. Dork. But these people exist in the world. They really do exist in the world. And I go, okay, if that's happening right now, and I look at the overall sentiment and I go, okay, is this person this? I genuinely don't know if I'm allowed to say that 4-letter word, but we'll call it the other N word. Okay, if this person is the other N word, then I need to decipher that and go, okay, what has he done that you can use as relevant to this? He's done this stupid salute, right? And did he do this salute? I will give you this. If you are a big anti-Elon person, I will give you the benefit of going, he for sure did that on purpose. 2 times. He did it with enthusiasm 2 times. If I'm going to give my heart to you, I'm going to do it in an underhand fashion. So I will give you this. I will give you this benefit of the doubt. If I'm going to give you my heart. I go, here's my heart in an underhand, probably parallel type fashion. I'm not going to overhand throw my heart and have that motion and do it 2 times. I'm not going to do that. I genuinely think, though, that he did that as a troll. And then he had some publicists say, you cannot own this. No matter what, Elon, you cannot own this. Your tism took you too far and you cannot own this. I know you thought it was funny. It's not funny. But in his crazy mind, he's going, these lunatics are calling me this N-word. I'm going to just do it to troll them. And he is a troll. That's what he does. He loves trolling. So that's what I think genuinely happened in that situation. And because of that little salute thing, you're talking about a loss of $800 billion in your market cap. The current market cap on Tesla is now at $770 billion. So that fall in Tesla stock, to me, is extremely irrational. When I look past the smoke and mirrors of it all, I go, okay, that is a very irrational sell-off. Now, I'm going to say half of this sell-off was due strictly to that stupid salute thing. So you got half of this was due to that. The other half is due to this tariff situation and just overall instability in the broad market. So, or maybe even 75% was due to the stupid salute thing. That's a ridiculous amount of money for a very stupid gesture. Because very clearly, now if Elon was this, if he was this, which he's very clearly not this, and it's just a blatant lie, and quite frankly, let's say, like, for example, if I was, someone that was like extremely, if I had Jewish heritage and I had family that was in the Holocaust and I was like I would find it actually kind of insulting when you just use that term to describe people you don't like constantly. Isn't that kind of an insult to the people that actually got hurt by this? Like, in another crowd that doesn't get any respect, like, we would probably be speaking German if it wasn't for, someone could fact check me on this, but I believe it's somewhere around 25 million Russians died in the World War. I'm pretty sure it was about 25 million of them. So that's the biggest loss, I believe, of any country was that. But nobody talks about that for some reason. I like world history, and that's something I found very interesting is Russians pretty much saved the entire world in that time period. Otherwise, we'd all be speaking German. But that happened. Anyway, but people who actually lost, if I was somebody who lost my ancestors or something in that, I would be kind of upset by how loosely people are using that term to describe people they don't like. Because very clearly, these people are not going for world domination. Very clearly, these people are not trying to exterminate millions of people. Very clearly, there's no relevance there besides national pride. So to be using that symbol all over the place and bringing that back up to the timeline of today is quite frankly ridiculous. And you should be embarrassed of yourself. Like if you're painting that on people's cars, if you're scratching that on people's cars, you should be embarrassed of yourself. And quite frankly, you should be charged with a crime and go to jail. Like that, it's ridiculous. And I think that the overall people in the world need to start looking at that and pointing it out and saying, you're a child and you're ridiculous and it's insulting to the people that actually got hurt by this specific party at that time period and their families and stuff. You shouldn't be loosely using this term. There is no, in today's modern time, there is nobody that is doing what they were doing, period, full stop. And it's just like, I don't want to ramble too much on that. I want to talk more about Tesla stock, but that's something I think about. But it does get back to the Tesla stock situation. And why I believe in Tesla stock is I go, okay, very clearly this was caused by irrational drama. I like buying into irrational drama because once the pendulum will swing back the other direction. If you go too far in one direction, which is going, oh, Elon's the N-word guy and oh, he wants to take over the world and he's going to kill millions of people. And then you're going to look at that and the broad humanity is going to look at that and go, okay, these people are very stupid. And it's going to swing back the other way in a very big way. And that's what I think is going to happen here. I think the pendulum's going in one direction and it's gone way too far in one direction and it's swinging dramatically into the other direction where people realize like, hey, these cars are very well engineered. And by the way, full self-driving is insane. Just as a story on Tesla, for example, let me go back. I own a Tesla Model S Plaid. I use that car as my daily driver. And I had to do a trip, a long-term trip. And I was thinking to myself, I was going, okay, I'm going to actually test out this software here because I'm investing so big into Tesla. If you don't, I haven't made a video on it yet because I just started making videos again, but I'm making a big bet on Tesla. Like not a small bet, a very, very large bet. I'm not going to say the exact amount, but a large bet. And I wanted to test out this car. So I bought a Model S Plaid and I want to see what it's like. Incredible. And for me, I have this ADD brain. And this is why it's like, the reason this is relevant to this video is you want to buy things that you like. You want to buy things that you understand. And I look at this and I go, okay, I understand what's happening with this stock and I want to test out its product. I use the full self-driving. I got to put on this thing to go and speed at 85 miles an hour. I have my seat fully reclined back and I'm just sitting there enjoying my scenery for the first time in my life in a car. I have never done that. The AI is so good in this car that somebody was riding me, right? When I was in the speeding lane, I was going 85. Someone wanted to go 95, was riding me. And the car lane changed to let them pass me up and then went back into the fast lane. That's how advanced this full self-driving is. This is not just like stay in your lane. You could put it in hurry mode. And the thing is like passing cars and lane changing for you. And it's driving better than I can drive. It's not laggy. It's smooth. It's streamlined. If Elon wanted to put out full self-driving taxis tomorrow, the software currently could do it. Like they could deploy this. It's so good. And people who are in the comments that actually own a Tesla or drive a Tesla, they will tell you that this is so good that they could deploy it tomorrow. And I thought it was going to be like a party trick, that I wasn't really going to use the full self-driving and it wasn't going to be a big thing. Oh, no. It's way better than a party trick. I use it every single day. I use it on a 10-minute trip. I use it on a 30-minute trip. I use it on a 5-hour trip. It's incredible to actually observe your surroundings and be able to like not worry about your on ramps and your off ramps. And it just takes over the whole thing like that. That's an incredible thing. And once you go, okay, every billionaire in the world is all talking about how they want to invest in AI. They all want to invest in AI. That's the thing. The big thing in the future is AI. The only real company that is really making something heavily profitable around AI is Elon with Tesla. Full self-driving cars is the most realistic use case in the real world. In the digital world, there's many use cases for AI. But in the real world, the biggest use case right now is full self-driving cars, and then probably robotics after that. But specifically, full self-driving cars, which kind of is robotics in a sense. Maybe they're the same category. But I look at that and I go, okay, You have millions of cars mapping out every single nook and cranny of every single road for free for you. People are paying you for your cars, that then these cars map out every single nook and cranny of the world. And they've already done this for you. The same car, if you want to get something perfect for AI, for full self-driving, you need a product that has done that same trip down that same freeway hundreds of thousands of times. There's only one car company that has that data. It's Tesla. And they got it for free. They got paid to get that data. People paid them for their car. Then that car gave them the data for free. And that data uses a full self-driving and basically maps out the entire world for them. And I think about it from that third person perspective, where this is maybe my tism. Maybe I got a little bit of a touch of the tism, but I look at that and I go, that's extremely logical to me. Like they have the data to use to do full self-driving. LiDAR won't even be close to Tesla. It won't even be close. Like Tesla is so much further ahead of Waymo that it's not even close. It's only restrictions holding them back. And if Trump is his best friend now, he's probably not going to have restrictions on full self-driving. That takes out Uber, takes out Waymo, takes out, and then on top of it, they can just start mass producing their own cars, not even have to sell it to the end person. They're not even have to sell it. They're just going to make it for themselves and then have a robo-taxi fleet. So they're just going to probably turn off their factories and just build cars for themselves because they're going to be 10 times more profitable just building their own cars for their own fleet. That's the future I see with Tesla. And so I go, how long is that going to take? It might take a year, might take a month, might take 5 years, might take 10 years. But I'm interested in owning shares for that time horizon. I don't want to own options. I don't want to play on it. I don't short-term trade with it. I just want to own shares. I believe in what he's doing. I like Elon. I'm a fan of his. I'll say that publicly. And I think people should start. The fact that he has a self-landing rocket that the prior government didn't have a NASA project. Boeing couldn't do it. Lockheed Martin couldn't do it. NASA couldn't do it. They had humans, astronauts in the sky, stuck there. They were stuck there for way longer than they were supposed to be there for like a month. They were there for like almost a year, just stuck there in the sky. There's nothing and they didn't get them down. Oh no, the private company created by capitalism saved them flawlessly, by the way. You know, if that, God forbid, if that rocket exploded and they died or something bad happened, that would have been front page news to make Elon look like a horrible person. But because it went flawlessly, because he flawlessly got those astronauts and brought them back down, nobody talked about it in the mainstream media. That's disturbing to me. Because that is an American patriotic hero type thing. When I was a kid and you saw something that was involving NASA or some huge groundbreaking project like that go successfully, that's something like people went in the streets when I was a kid, like clapping about it. And like everybody was talking about how amazing it was, something that America did. It's a proud patriotic moment. And something like that and no coverage, nothing. It's just he's always a horrible guy. It's like, no, he's an American patriot. He's a hero. This guy's a hero. And you guys want to bet against him? You want to destroy his dealerships and put fire to his cars and do all like what? That's crazy. More people need to speak up and go, this is absolute insanity. How dare you? You should be put in jail. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. But I do want to say I love gas cars too. Like I drive a Tesla. I like my Tesla. I like the full self-driving. I'll probably always have full self-driving in my fleet because I need it now. Now I genuinely need it. It's so good. The full self-driving is so good. I'm going to be like a salesman for this. Like, I don't care if you buy a Tesla or not. Maybe I should put it there's a link down there to refer you. There isn't. But if I want you to buy a Tesla because I said this about, maybe I should be making money off this, but no, I'm just getting back into the swing of things. But anyway, I can't live without that now. The full self-driving thing, I can't live without it. It's so good. I can't live without it. My next car, my dream car has always been a Porsche GT3 RS. That's always been my dream car. I would like to have a Porsche GT3 RS, which ironically has a lot more to do with the party that Elon's being blamed. Do people know the history of these automakers, VW? And anyway, I have to have full self-driving in my fleet, regardless of the fact that I like gas cars. I would like to have multiples. But that's how I feel about the full self-driving thing. It's like, it's so good that I can click my button and go, drive me to this location. And it just does. It just does, and it parks itself. My car will literally, I'll put a destination into my car. It will open my garage for me, go out, drop the garage for me, and then go on this trip and go park itself at this location. I go into this restaurant or whatever, eat, and then I can summon my car to pick me up from the front door and then drive myself back home. That exists today. I do it like every other day. I do that all the time in my car today. Like, that sounds like some futuristic crazy thing that's never going to happen. No. I do it now. Like today, I do that. That's the craziest thing to me. And people want to bet against this tech. They want to bet against this company. You're out of your mind. Please short Tesla. Please short Tesla. I would love that. And the beauty is there's going to be a huge growing short interest in Tesla. I'm dropping a gem on you guys, I think, is this is something that's on my mind. When I talked about silver, I talked in the same way. When I talk about certain investments of mine, I get really excited about them. And this is where I go, maybe I have the tism myself, because I get really excited about something. And if I'm on a date, say with a girl or something, I get really excited about talking about this, I look crazy. But maybe to you guys, I don't look crazy. Maybe to somebody out there, this helps them. And they go, actually, that's very interesting. But with Tesla, you go, the reason GameStop blew up so much is because of the short interest behind GameStop, right? That's why GameStop did so well. If there's this huge short interest in Tesla, you have to ask yourself, and actually the ironic part is the short interest in GameStop had actual merit. GameStop was a terrible company at the time, had a terrible product at the time, was way overvalued at the time. So it had a lot of merit to do that short. Now, Tesla's short interest right now is more than just a bad price to earnings ratio. It's a lot of it based on drama. A lot of it is based on Elon Musk. A lot of it is based on just pure smoke and mirrors, complete BS drama. And that's beautiful to me. That is beautiful opportunity to me, because I see through that drama. I see through the smoke and mirrors, and I go, very clearly what you're saying is not true, which is quite frankly why you lost the election. Quite frankly. If you say things that are not true, people see through that at scale. Some people might not see through that, but at scale, they see through that. And that's why they lost that election. That's my opinion. They were using terms like calling Elon Musk or calling Trump this N-word. I keep saying the N-word because I don't know if I'm allowed to say the four-letter word that everybody knows what I'm relating to. They were saying they're part of this party. And quite frankly, people should start counteracting that and saying that's disrespectful to the people that actually got hurt by that party. That's disrespectful to the families and the ancestors of people that got hurt by that party in that world war. It's disrespectful to loosely use that term. And we need to start calling out people for that. Because when you do that, if somebody on the far left, let's say, I'm a libertarian, I'm somewhere in the middle, in a sense, I'm probably lean conservative. But if someone said to me, Trump's an arrogant billionaire playboy, well, yeah, for sure. He definitely is that. Okay, you made a logical point to me. But when you say he's this N-word, he's part of this, he's going to go for world domination, he's going to kill millions of people, then you're lying. Then you're irrationally lying to me, and I don't respect you anymore. And that's what happened at scale in this last election. That's just if you want me to get a little into politics, that's what I think. If you lie, blatantly lie, and you use things that were horrific to a lot of families, a lot of ancestors of those families, to lie about somebody being a bad person, that's when people expose you and they go, okay, you're lying. But you could be honest. Say, I don't want a billionaire playboy to be president. Okay, you made a valid point. Interesting. I happen to like the idea that the guy's a little bit of a off the wall kind of entrepreneurial type guy that's a little kind of need a lunatic to deal with lunatics. There are a lot of lunatics in the world. But anyway, that's something that I see in a lot of the trades that I make. If the broad market, if the broad amount of people say something that isn't true, and to me, I believe that what they're saying is not true, and this stock has sold off irrationally, and I have an opportunity to get more shares of this specific stock or whatever it might be, that's a huge situation for me. That's where I go, okay, I want to buy a lot of this, if that makes sense. That's how I feel about Tesla, and that's how I feel about the current situation that we're in. With a lot of different stocks, but specifically Tesla, I go, okay, very irrational sell-off. Last time I checked, they have a gigafactory in every major country, every major continent, really. Like in China, in Berlin, and so in Europe, and in Nevada, and in California, they have major gigafactories all over. So the tariffs don't really affect Tesla in a sense. And then on top of it, they're the most American-made car of any car, period, full stop. It's not even close. Then on top of it, the Model Y was the most sold car in the entire world for like 3 years straight. And they just dropped the new model, and the new model is really well done. Fixed all the problems with the prior model. I've heard from people that use that car. It's a game changer. And it already was the most sold car, and it just got refreshed and ahead of this earnings report coming up. So the way I look at it, which is relevant to this video and a market collapse and everything, is say this next earnings report with Tesla, and by the way, let me pull this up. The next earnings report, it says it's in 23 days. I think this is a little bit zoomed in, but on this bottom corner here, it says 23 days. So in 23 days, they're doing an earnings report. Let's say it's a bad one. Let's say it's a bad one and it drops the stock to 125 a share. I will have a lot of capital ready for that. I'm going to be able to own more shares. That's great. I get to accumulate more shares in something I believe in the next 5 years, the next 10 years. That's how I look at my investments, and I think that's how you win. I think that's the only way to win, is you believe in a thesis, you have a timeline on it, you believe in what their products are, you believe in, I drive their product. A lot of people talk about their product. I own one of their products. I own their top of the line product. It's incredible. I will always have one. It's that good. And I love gas cars. Love them. Think we should be drilling all over this country for gas. I think it's a great thing. I would like a Porsche. I would like a Ferrari. I'd like a Lambo. I'd like all of them. But I would like a car that has full self-driving forever now. It's that good. It's that good. This isn't about tree hugging. This is about literally this. The technology is that good. It is so much better. It makes other cars feel stupid. It really does. Like if you drive this car and then you go to a different car, you go, wait a minute, I can't click a button. I can't just click a button and it takes over for me and I can do my phone calls and stuff. Oh, this car is stupid. This car's dumb. This car doesn't have intelligence. That's how I genuinely feel. So maybe I'm a unique perspective because a lot of people, they believe in like, oh, environmentalism and this and that. I don't care about any of that. I care about, does my car drive itself? Sweet. This is rad. Maybe I'm a bad person. I don't know. But anyway, there's a lot of things I could talk about with Tesla, but overall the sentiment is just buying something I believe in. And then the same thing goes for silver, same thing goes for gold, same thing goes for Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, we could talk about Bitcoin for a little bit. Somebody just talked about Bitcoin in the comments. Wait, hang on a second here. What's up, Zane? How are you, Zane? I appreciate that. Hang on. I never want to miss those super chats. I really appreciate that. He says, good to see you streaming, man. I hope you're doing well. I'll rewind to watch this live stream. Just got off work. Oh, that's awesome, man. Hope you're doing well, Zane. I really appreciate you being here. He's one of the original supporters of my channel, and I really appreciate that. Sorry if I missed some of the comments here. I never miss a super chat though, so I just wanted to say thank you for that. But I haven't been live in a long time, and I'm rusty at it. So if this is just kind of off the wall and me ranting on a bunch of different stuff, that's what it is. But my auctions were ending today, and they finished at 7. And so I figured, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a live stream. I'm going to do a live stream after that. But that's pretty much, I fix up old classic vehicles so that I blend in. Look at the national debt. Show us your full stack. Never. If I show, I'm poor. I have nothing. I saw a comment like that, like, oh, he got margin called. He's gone broke. I'm like, do you guys even know what I invested? I have videos. There are videos of what I invested in. There are videos of what I've done. Like anyway, hang on here. Actually, I did want to talk about, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's another one of these situations here. So a lot of people have bought Bitcoin at, let's say it's all-time highs. They were getting FOMO, and they said, I want some Bitcoin at 108, 109,000. And now they're at 76,000. And so in their mind, in that irrational mindset that's only thinking in terms of, am I making money? Does dollar go up? Do I have more money than I put into this certain thing? That's the kind of brain rot thing that a lot of people have. And they're thinking about it going back up to 105, so they only have a $4,000 loss. There's a lot of people that think like that. And then there's people that go, I want to get to a whole coin. I maybe have 50,000 worth of Bitcoin. I want to have a full coin. And that's the number I want to get to because I believe in the 10-year period of Bitcoin. I want to get to a full coin. And that's their goal. And now it's easier to get to their goal. That is their goalpost. Then there's people in silver that go, I want to have 1,000 ounces of silver. I want to have 600 ounces of silver. I want to have this. I want to have this one day. This is what I want to get to. Well, right now you have an easier time getting it. Now it's easier to get to that number. You believe in the next 5 years, next 10 years, it's easier to get there now. People need to start thinking that way. But the problem is a lot of people, they think from a term of like, maybe, you know, from a very simple perspective, this may be it may be kind of a situation where people are living paycheck to paycheck. So losing a certain amount of money is very painful to them when they should be investing with an expendable income. With anything that's expendable that they can afford to lose is what they should be putting in a certain thing. Now, is everybody going to be in that position? No. I think people should get into that position. That should be the goal of everybody before they start doing these types of things. Now, there's going to be stories out there where people did really well and risked everything to go into something. But me personally, if I had any advice to give anybody, we'll get back to talking about Bitcoin in a second here. But if I had any advice to give to anybody, and we got 100 people in here. Wow. That's awesome. For my first live stream back on here, we got 100 people in here. Appreciate it. That's awesome. But if I had any advice, I'd say focus on a passive income. Focus on building a business of some kind, whatever it is. Figure out how to make an extra $1,000 a month. Figure out how to make an extra 2,000, another 3,000, another 4,000. I remember when I first started in trading precious metals, I was pretty much living out of my office building. It was all I could afford. And my office rent at the time was like, the office I was in at that time was like $1,300 or something. And I remember making $1,500 one month and being like, I can afford to pay for my office building. This is incredible. As my passive income just paid, my business paid for the office and not the only $3,000 I have left to my name. I remember that feeling. And then you get ahead of it and then you go, okay, I'm making $2,000 a month now. Oh, wait, I'm making $3,000 a month now. Now I'm making $4,000 a month now. And then at some point, the beauty of owning your own business is at some point you're not capped and you might have a $10,000 a month. And then you can cost average it and you can afford things more so because you had a ridiculously good month. And a lot of people, they tend to live in that cap world, in that $4,000 a month cap. And then they have $3,000 in expenses, $4,000 a month, extra $1,000 to play with. And then that gets spent on food or something. A lot of people lived in the capped world. The goal is to escape that capped world and find a way to get into the no ceiling world. For me, that was trading. It was trading precious metals. It was trading collectibles. That was the world for me that got me out of that world. And then, you know, once in a while you have some crazy make $50,000 profit on something because you had that ability to not have the cap ceiling. And school systems, the universities, they teach you to have a cap ceiling. They teach you how to stay within your confines, to live within the cage, to be a hamster on the wheel, right? But only so many people have the courage to dig out of the cage and look back at the people that are on the hamster wheel and go, oh, wow, the world's pretty interesting outside of the cage. I dug a hole through it. Now I'm looking at the hamsters on the wheel, and that seems pretty stupid. I'd rather just be laying on the floor than on the hamster wheel. But anyway, I digress. But I think that should be people's number one goal. So when you're going through, it's actually relevant to this video because if you're going through pain, if the market's selling off, if it's selling off and you're losing money on your stocks and everything's going down and seems like the world's ending, that's the time you should be figuring out some way to make a passive income. That's the time you should be doing it. And I speak from experience. Like right now, with Bitcoin going down as much as it has and silver going down as much as it has, if people knew how much of my net worth has gone down, they'd be like, oh my God, that's insane. Maybe some wouldn't think it was that big of a deal, but a lot of people would look at the numbers and go, that's absolutely insane. I can just tell you from firsthand experience, I don't really feel it because I'm in it for the long term and I don't look at the number. I actually don't even know what the real number is. It could be tens of thousands, it could be hundreds of thousands. I don't even look at the number. I just know how much ounces I have of something or how many of something I have. And I go, I want more. I want more of it. I'm focused on my business now. I'm going to talk to some of my clients and stuff. I'm going to build more in my business. I have this idea I want to work on. I'm going to work on that idea. That's where my brain is at. Does it hurt? Yeah, I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. but I'm not like mentally bothered by it. I'm going to keep building things. And I think that people need to start building stuff more, because then the stuff like this, it just doesn't bother you at all. And quite frankly, when I look at what's going on and the reasons why this is happening, I go, thank God somebody's finally saying, hey, why are there a bunch of Mercedes in the United States and there isn't any Fords in Europe? Why is that? See a lot of BMWs over here, a lot of Mercedes over here. See a lot of your guys' cars over here. Why don't I see Fords in Europe? Why don't I see Teslas in Europe? Well, now because Tesla has his own gigafactory over there, you probably do see them over there. But the overall sentiment is there for the reason. Why did Tesla build that gigafactory? Because they had a 10% tariff on our cars. Why do you have a 10%? These, like, let's really think about this. We are NATO. Let's be clear here. The United States is NATO. You guys are this. The United States is this. If NATO is this, this is what you guys are. America is this in NATO. NATO is America. You aren't NATO. We are. We're the protection. We're the money. That's what we are. And you have the audacity to ask us for money and protection and have the audacity to then go, oh, we're going to tariff their cars more than they tariff our cars. What? You kidding me right now? The audacity of these clowns. The audacity. Maybe I'm a lunatic. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people won't agree with me. But I look at that and I go, that's insane. That's insane. Because China, I can understand. We're not really allies with China. China isn't NATO, right? Like, they're in their own little space. They're competing with us. They want, they might want world domination. We don't really know what they want. But at the end of the day, they're competing with us. So I understand if they can take advantage of us and they go, oh, I'm going to take advantage of them. Makes sense to me. But our allies doing that? That's crazy. That's crazy. They should be paying us. We should have more tariffs on them than they have on us. It should be the other way around. That's what I think about. I think about the logic in it all, and I go, okay, that's how I feel. Could I be wrong? I don't know, but that's my truth. Some people are afraid to speak their truth. That's my truth. I look at that and I look at what's going on and I go, good. Show me the numbers. I don't care about your emotions. I don't care about the drama. Show me the numbers. Oh, they were charging you 10% on your cars and you were charging them 2.5% or 2% or whatever. And they were charging you five times more. Okay, screw them. Like, what? Okay, the numbers don't add up here. For how much we do for you and you do for us, the numbers don't add up here. But it's more than that. It's more than just the percentages. The percentages are out of whack. But it's more than that. It's their regulations they do to make it so that you can't even get tariff to put your stuff in their country. So they'll do things like they'll make people who produce beef in the United States, our farmers who produce beef, they'll say you have to go through this, and that hoop to be able to import your beef and make it impossible to import it in the first place. So it's more than just the tariff being out of whack. It's that they make rules and regulations so that they can't even get there. And then meanwhile, we don't have the same rules and regulations and they're able to import their stuff over here very easily. But we can't do it over there because they make these little laws and regulations and loopholes and things like that. That's what's more so than what's going on is all of that. So why am I bullish on a turnaround or the market? It's not only just the quantitative easing and the money that's going to get diluted and get put into the system and that being kind of inevitable. It's that I like what's going on. Someone had to do it. Someone had to do it. It's the medicine, the pill needed to be swallowed at some point. Now it is. You can't let people take advantage of you forever. You have to eventually lay down the line and go, okay, it has to happen at some point. And if this gives me opportunities, if this happening gives me opportunities to then own more of things that I believe in, I'm excited. That's how I feel. And so maybe I just think about things financially and like logically. I just go and I don't really care about the emotions of it all. I just look at the logic in front of me and I go, this had to happen. I seen the numbers. It wasn't like our tariff was 10% and their tariff was like 11.2%. No. It was way out of whack. It wasn't like these aren't close numbers. These are, you're taking advantage of us and we are not taking advantage of you. It's ridiculous. And all he did was go a half measure. They went a half measure. They didn't even go to a full measure. They went to a half measure so that these people could come to the table and say, hey, let's talk. That's what they did. And everybody's, he's causing trade wars and this. No, he's not. He did a half measure to say, this is wrong what you guys are doing. Remove your regulations and come to the table here, or retaliate and we raise it back. We raise it even further. And you can't join the best economy in the world. I like this. You know who's like who has extremely intelligent leadership? And it's funny because I didn't know this until later on when they started blowing up, or not blowing, but doing well. Blowing up as in doing well is the UAE, the Saudis. They're extremely smart. One of the Saudi leadership was like, I understand what he's doing. He just wants fair regulation. And know what? That's one of the first people that's going to get a good trade deal with the United States. Like they actually don't even have income taxes or anything over there in Dubai and whatnot. So and their streets are very clean. You can wear a fancy watch out over there. Nobody's going to rob you over there. So they're doing something right over in Saudi Arabia and in Dubai and all that and that leadership seemed to come to the table and go, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense what he's doing. He had a whole, I have to look up the video, maybe do it in a later time and show it. But there's leaders out there that look at what he's going on and they go, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. They've been taking advantage of him for a long time. Anyway, let's start talking about some comments and stuff. And that I've ranted enough for this video. I think I've said the things I've wanted to say, probably more than what I should have said, but life's short. Say what's on your mind. If you have some comments, I'm looking at the comments right now. Rob, you have the gift of gab. I appreciate that. Thank you. I can ramble for a long time. I like art, especially in growing artists. So you should build a business around art. Darren says, good to have you back. I appreciate that, Darren. Toyota company built to last longer than GG's. Sure beats waiting tables. Yeah. Well, I will say that if people don't know me that well, I was a waiter for like 3 years, from I want to say 20 to 23, and it did. I don't know if I'd be able to do these videos if I didn't have that period of time. Probably, but it helped me a lot with first impressions. I wasn't a very social person. I'm still not ironically enough, people might think I'm a social person. I'm not. I'm very introverted. I am an introverted person that can be extroverted if I'm in the right situation, I guess. But I'm more so an introvert. I like my time alone. But being a waiter helped me more so than any communications college class, because I think college is a complete, utter scam. But there's people that go to a communications class that don't know how to communicate half as well as a bartender or a waiter, because that person is doing it rigorously every single day, making a first impression every single day. So it's funny to me because people will often look down on a waiter or look down on a bartender. I look at them as my equal. I still do because I was one, but I go, they're learning traits that are very, very valuable. A waiter has a very valuable trait of being able to talk to people and being able to make a first impression 1,000 times a day. That is so powerful. Having a job where you make a first impression hundreds of times or 1,000 times a day or whatever, that's extremely beneficial to anything in life. So I think that's a great starter job for anybody, and you get tips. And hey, man, no tax on tips is probably coming around the corner, so it's probably going to be a pretty hot job in the near future. I think that job, being a bartender or a waiter, is actually probably better than most college jobs, or I genuinely believe that. Silver Squirrel is back on live. You know, we're making a comeback. And honestly, I didn't want to come on here and like give excuses for why I've been gone for so long. I think people want me to give an excuse and be like, oh, well, this happened and this happened. I dated this horrible girl and she ruined my life. No, kind of true. But no, I'm just kidding. I don't want to give a bunch of excuses or whatever. I've been working on my business. Not to show my product or whatever, but this is what I've been working on. When people think like, it's not like when I talk about owning a passive business, or this is my full-time business, but I own Mineral Exchange. This is my auction house. I own mineralexchange.com. this was literally auctions today. And so people will see the stuff we sell and go, these are insane prices, but then, they don't understand the vintage world. But this is some of these bars are actually like this bar we just sold today. So this is my business. When I talk about passive, mine's not a passive business. Mine requires a ridiculous amount of my time and attention. And that's why, I don't want to give excuses, but that's why I haven't had too much time on my hands. But if we go down, you can see all the stuff we sold just today. Auctions end every Sunday. I might be changing to a 2-week structure where we do 2 auctions a month, but right now we're in a 4 auction a month structure. But this bar right here, this Hallmark Precious Metals bar here, just sold today for $25,000 plus 10%. So around, what's that, a little bit under 28K. So this is something I sold today on my business. All of these bars and things that we sell, that's my business. So when I talk about building a business, I do have some experience building my business. But when people ask, like, where have you been? It's like, well, we're up to 8,000. How many auctions have been completed now? 8,277 auctions has been completed on Mineral Exchange. A lot of work goes into that. And I don't exactly, I don't come from money. I don't have a wealthy father. I don't have any family like that. I don't want to get into the emotional parts about my life, but I don't have anybody that gave me money or started me up. A lot of coin dealers in my business, in the gold and silver business, they had, their dad started the coin show or whatever. It started this big coin shop and they passed it down and this and that. I didn't have that. I didn't come from any of that. I was a waiter who happened to wait on the right table. That's how I got involved in the coin business. Literally a group of coin dealers took me in when I was a waiter. And that's how I got involved in it. I didn't know anything about the gold business, didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I wasn't a finance guy. I like stocks and stuff, but I didn't have this kind of knowledge of this space until I was about 23 and I got took in by that group. Waiting tables led to this. Serendipity is a crazy thing in life. But getting back to the point is I don't exactly come from money. So my business started taking off and doing very well. And so I hyper-focus on something like that because I want to buy a warehouse. I want to buy a bigger house. I want to get the car I want to get. I'm focused and dead set on setting myself up in a way that I am. Have you ever seen the movie The Gambler? I'm sure there's some people in the comments that have seen the movie The Gambler. It's like a very underrated movie Mark Wahlberg did. But there's the guy, I forget his name, but the guy that was in Roseanne, was it Roxanne or Rose? I think it's Roseanne. The guys in Roseanne had a part in it. He was like a gangster in this movie. And I'm sure there's some people that know the part that I'm thinking about. It's like, you know what you do when you get 2 million? You know what you do when you get 2 million together? You buy a house and with an indestructible roof. It says some derogatory words or whatever. And he goes, and you operate from a position of FU. That's what you do. You stick the rest in the bank to pay your taxes, pay your dues, and you buy yourself a house and you get yourself in a position of FU. Your grandpa was a successful guy. I guarantee you it's because he operated from a position of FU. I love that specific part of that movie. And that's what I've been doing over the last few years. I've been putting myself in a position to get into that FU position. And to me, an FU position, if I was to define success, it's not having 10 million in the bank to me. To me, success is doing what you want, when you want, however you want to do it. That's success to me. And that's what I'm gearing towards. And I need to set myself up in a way so that I can just make videos all the time. That would be great. I wasn't quite there like 4 or 5 years ago where I could just focus on that. And I'm trying to get myself into that position where I can do whatever I want to do and have like, a stable house that's paid off, have the car I want, be able to afford my food, afford all my stuff. And like when I started doing a little bit well, I started hyper focusing on that because I know what it's like to not have anything. I remember what it was like to live on the floor of my office. I remember what it was like to travel out of a car and not have anywhere to go back to. And I think no matter how many millions I'm worth, that part of my brain, it hasn't like let up. So when I start getting a little bit of success, I tend to go harder on the gas. I don't let up. I usually go way harder on it. And with my company, it started doing really well. And I went extremely hard on it. And I just keep going harder and harder on it. And that kind of deviates my time. But then you're not doing everything that you love to do. And so now I'm finally in a position where I'm like, I want to start making these videos again because I actually really enjoy this. It's kind of like a therapy session in a sense. And that was that Gambler movie. Yeah, The Gambler. So you know what I'm talking about. That if anybody look up The Gambler, what would be like a part that would bring it up? Gambler, like FU money. Gambler FU money somewhere. It'll pop up and you'll see the part that I'm talking about. And it's such a good little clip because it's where everybody needs to get. Everybody needs to get to a position where they're not stressed about day-to-day life. And that's why it's relevant to this video because there's so many people in this country. Like, how many Albert Einsteins are out there? How many Elon Musks are out there? Probably not that many, but the few that are out there might be stuck in some hamster wheel job where they have to pay the bills and they got to do all this stuff. And then society, like some well-off kid that was born into a fancy, like Bill Gates, for example. Nobody talks about how Bill Gates' dad was filthy rich and bought him his first computer. If Bill Gates grew up like I grew up, or like a lot of people in this comments grew up here and didn't have a dad that bought him a fancy computer, he wouldn't have been Bill Gates. But no, he was put in a situation where he was in the right spot at the right time in Silicon Valley, had a rich dad who bought him a computer, and then he was able to was he naturally talented? Probably was naturally talented. But there's a lot of naturally talented, high IQ people that don't get provided that opportunity because they're stuck, their family or themselves are stuck into a hamster wheel life cycle circle where they're making the money just to pay the bills and they're just stuck in that wheel. And so the goal really, and that's why that clip from The Gambler is so like it resonated in my mind because I still to this day, I know what that feeling is like. And it would be such a beautiful world if people were able to escape that rat race more so at scale. And they weren't just stuck to the confines of some making $4,000, $5,000 a month and having $4,000 in overhead. And they're just stuck in this wheel of life and they're not able to become to their fullest capability. You know, they're basically like a fish that's stuck in the desert. And if you just drop that fish in the ocean, it would know how to swim and be doing really well. But it's just stuck in the wrong situation and it doesn't have the ability to get to that level or just to reach their full potential. And there's a lot of that going on. And so when I look at other countries like Dubai, for example, Dubai's crushing it. The poorest person in Dubai seems to be doing pretty well from what I can see I haven't been there, but from what I can see online, seems to be like they're doing pretty well over there. I would like to see that for my country. I don't understand why you can't wear, if I wear this Rolex, out in the street somewhere, I'm actually a little bit nervous about it. Now I'm usually packing, so I'm not, they'd have a bad time. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to have a bad day, sir. There's somebody that said like, oh, I think you got robbed. Like, no, they're going to have a real bad day. They're going to, why do you show that stuff? Because they have a real bad day. I'm very proficient with my Second Amendment rights. I'm proficient with these. They don't just sit around. I use them. I understand how to use them. But anyway, I think more people need to know how to escape the rat race. And if the country does better due to what's going on in the world right now, due to these tariffs, due to everything that's happening, if that makes the opportunities happen in the United States more so than it currently is, the government should have. And what's crazy to me is like they use these headlines to like they paint them into this horrible thing. And I don't care about drama. I care about the logic. So I go, the government has ruined the school system. The public school system, public schools look like prisons. They don't, if you look into like the past in like the 1800s or whatever, you see the beautiful architecture on certain like buildings. You only see them in certain college campuses, but on the public stuff, on the government stuff, the public schools look like prisons. They even beep at you like prisons. Like when you're on the yard and they go, time to go back in. That's what they do to these kids. They're just programming them. I remember thinking that when I was like a little kid in school and I'm like, I'm going to actually not go back to class. This is the type of stuff I did as a little kid. Maybe I was messed up. I even had like a journal, like, don't let them take over your mind. Don't let them take over your mind. Because I felt like people were trying to control me when I was in like literally like a kindergartner. I remember the buzzer going off and everybody going back inside and being like, I'm going to go hide in the bathroom. Just because they were trying to tell me to go back inside, I'm going to go hide in the bathroom and I'm not going to go back inside because the buzzer went off. And I would do that stuff like that all the time. Like if there was something they said that I needed to do, I would not do that on purpose just to see what would happen. And I still do that to this day a lot. But they're programming people, these kids to do you have a recess for 30 minutes. You come back inside, go back into these four walls that look like a prison pretty much. And you can't leave and there's gates around it. So you can't just walk free willy nilly out of this high school or out of this, this lower school or whatever. It's like it's very prison like, and it's that way because the government's involved, I think, and like everything that they do really in that system is just completely. It doesn't let kids become to their full capabilities because they're stuck. They're just stuck learning this BS information that they're not interested in. And they think there's something wrong with the kid. He has ADHD. He has this and that. No, he's just not interested. This is boring. This is a textbook from 1984 that should have been burned by now. This is a waste of his time. He's got a supercomputer in his pocket and he has an idea to build a robot. Like, what are you doing teaching him this stupid textbook? You know, let the kid do whatever he wants to do. He'll figure it out. I just look at the school systems and I just think it's so stupid and so the reason I bring up all this up is because when they said, oh, we're getting out of the government's getting out of the school system, we're deleting the Department of Education, that headline, Trump removes the Department of Education, it looks like a horrible thing. Even I can read that and go, oh, they're removing education for children. Oh what a horrible thing. No, it was great if you actually know what was going on. The government sucks. They suck at everything. They ruin everything. They make everything too expensive. Why is college $200,000? I went on a date with this girl that, thank God she doesn't know I went on a date with this girl and she's like, I'm going to be an anesthesiologist. And you know how much debt I'm in? And I genuinely thought like $200K is probably a lot. I'm like, maybe 200. Like, how much debt are you going to be an anesthesiologist? And by the way, but $550,000. $550,000. The first thought in my mind is, I'm not marrying you. No chance. Prenup. And even then, I still don't think I'm in. $550,000 you're in debt and you're out of your mind. And then it's going to accrue, and then like it's going to have a 7% interest rate after you get out. So you're going to have to you're going to be in the position our government is in. Our government is replicating itself through these college kids. Our government is literally replicating itself through these college kids. You look at this and you go, okay, they got to pay off $9 trillion in debt, and they're already paying $1 trillion on their debt. They're already paying $1 trillion on their debt of $36 trillion. Now this college girl, she has $550K in debt, just like we have a $37 trillion debt right here, right? And it's going to have interest on it. It's going to have a 7% interest rate. So now she's got to basically make, like, what is that? What does that equate to? 7% of 5. 7. It's almost $50,000, right? Wait, 7. Yeah, 7 times. She's got to make $50,000 just to pay for the interest rate, like 55,000, 50. That's insanity. And these kids are getting shot out like that because of the government being involved in the system. That's why they deleted the Department of Education, because the government makes college so expensive because they give the loans out. And that's the problem that they get into. And then the colleges ask for more money because they know these kids can easily get the loan. And then they get these crazy loans to get $550,000 in debt. And then when they get out, they're like, they're not ever going to get ahead. You know, it's like, and that's anyway, that happens at scale in our government. I mean, in our country, when it comes to college is way overpriced. The public school system is trash. We spend more money on the public school system than any other country, and we have morons getting shot out of it every single day. There are no savants coming out of our colleges. It is all morons. And same thing with the high school system. They very few and far between come out of that system. All of our most, impressive people in the American society usually didn't come out of a college system, usually dropped out. Seems to be the case. Steve Jobs dropped out. Elon Musk dropped out. Zuckerberg dropped out. All these guys that are doing very impressive things, like, they're usually dropouts because they didn't get stuck into those confines and get stuck under this hamster wheel. And it's kind of evil when you think about it. Like someone getting $550,000 in debt, let's say, that's evil. That's evil. Doing that to a somebody that should be a remarkable person in society. And to be honest, the conviction it takes and the hard work it takes to do 10 years of school or 8 years of school, I couldn't do that. I have respect for somebody that has that level of conviction and can focus like that. I can't do that. If I'm not interested, I don't focus. It just my brain doesn't work that way. So I respect them in a sense, but I also feel bad for this very intelligent person that was very capable of memorizing things and getting through that system, and then just gets completely screwed by society. And then they're just stuck with this huge pile of debt. And then they're usually the person going like, but remove our student loan debt. everybody pay for me. Give me free stuff, please. Like, they turn into that person. And then you go, oh, I wonder why. This is because you guys got screwed over by society because they weren't smart enough to know the difference at the time. And then now they're stuck, But anyway, it's just a trap. They keep trying to trap people. You'd be better off just being a homeless person at the beach, working some waiter job, working a bartender job. Like, you'd be so much better than getting yourself in a dramatic amount of debt and the amount of stress that put your body through. Anyway, I digress. I'm passionate about that stuff. And, but who knows? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just a complete lunatic. Maybe I'll be homeless next year. You never know. Student debt is the one thing that can't be erased. It is. Like, and think about the design, vacation time. I know that you think about this as well. It's like the fact that they designed it this way. If you start a business and it doesn't work out, you can go bankrupt. You can remove all that debt and just start over again. But with a college debt, they made it so it follows you for life. Sometimes even carries over to like your children and stuff. Like, they literally made this as a lead anchor on your foot that you just can't get it. It's a ball and chain forever. And then you have a 7% rate on that huge amount that you've taken out. And that money, by the way, when you're like an 18-year-old kid, you don't know what it takes to make that kind of money. To make $500,000 a year, it's really hard. It is not easy to make $500,000 a year. It's not easy to make $100,000 a year. So if you get yourself in $500,000 of debt and then you have a 7% interest rate accruing on it, you're just basically you might say you make like $100,000 a year, but you have to come up with $55,000 every single year just in your interest. You have nothing. You're working for nothing. You're a slave forever. You're just stuck in that forever. You make $100,000, your overhead's like $30,000. You got to pay $50,000. You got to pay food and stuff. There's nothing left over. You would have been better off making $2,000, but being homeless and keeping your $2,000 every month. That's how I always thought. When I remember I wanted to go to the USC Marshall School of Business when keep in mind, I did 3 years of community college before I dropped out, and I realized it was a scam. And luckily I didn't go to any fancy college. I did 3 years of community college, realized it was a scam, and I left. And I lost my train of thought. That really happens. Usually I'm gabbing for a while, but I lost my train of thought. Maybe somebody in the comments could bring me back. But yeah, I think college is a blatant scam. I think it's a total scam and it just traps people, and it's really sad. And if the government gets out of the college system, then they're going to get competitive under the capitalistic system. And then if college was $10,000 for a really nice college a year, which it should be like $10,000 for a really nice college a year, it should be like masterclass. It should be like learning how to cook from Gordon Ramsay on masterclass for $100 or whatever it costs to do a masterclass thing. It should be like that. There's going to be a lot of online stuff of just, I want to learn how to code. Okay, here's how you learn how to code. Here's Python. Here's this and here's that, and you pay $10,000 for some class, and that probably already exists. But people have this like, I want a diploma from this certain school and this Ivy League school, and they're so lame. Like it's such a lame thing to be like, I want to go to this school so that I can meet the right person that'll help me in my just become that person, and then make a social media, and you'll reach out to the right people. I just think it's ridiculous. I'm paying $200,000 because I have a certain group in my alumni, and now I went to Kappa Kappa Delta Phi, and they put eggs on my head so that I can meet a girl. Like it's the weirdest thing. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. But it should be. The point is, the government shouldn't be involved, and it should be cheaper. And when they deleted the Department of Education for the lower public school system, they should be getting out of the college system and the college loan system and all of that as well, so that colleges could be cheaper. College should be $10,000 a year for a really good college. And that's realistic. And, the fact that people are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt is just wild to me. It's just wild to me. It just makes no sense at all. They are so smart but can't understand basic finances. Correct. Very well said. And that's what I was going to say is back when I lost my train of thought there is I remember I didn't get accepted, but I was I'm pretty sure I could have got accepted to the USC. I want to go to USC Marshall School of Business. And I remember looking up how much tuition was. And at the time, I think it was like $62,000 a semester. And I'm like, how many semesters are in a year? 2. Wait a minute. It's $112,000 a year. Out of your mind. It's like, I'm not paying no $120 or whatever $1,000 a year. And I thought to myself, if I have 2 years of my time and this was the thought I had at the time, and I still think this way, but I figured it would be about $250,000 to do 2 years of this school, roughly. If I had $250,000 in 2 years and I was locked in a room with internet, with that capital, with internet, I would come up with a good business. And I would rather fail at that and learn from that experience, or it could work and I never have to work for anybody else ever again. Like, I'm going to choose that one. That's a good idea for me. And honestly, I could do it with 50 grand. I could start a business with 50 grand. That would probably do pretty well. So there's so many ways to make a buck, but I don't think working for somebody else is maybe it's my type of thing, but I had a problem. Whenever I worked for somebody, I always had too many ideas that made me look arrogant, and then I would get fired. Like, that would be my structure growing up when I had jobs. I had a bunch of ideas. I would think they were stupid for not doing these ideas and making their business better. I get fired for being arrogant. So I had the personality to have to run the business myself, or otherwise the employees don't like me. When I was a waiter, for example, everyone hated me because I would just constantly be trying to make the most money. I'd work nonstop, always do certain things, would have little tricks and tactics to make more money. I just always was trying to figure out a way. And so I didn't work well in that system. And so for me, I had to work for somebody else. But the whole point is, with that kind of capital, these kids are getting in debt and time. So if you use 4 years of your time and $400,000 in capital, let's say, or even $200,000 in capital, you could start a pretty great business. You can start a pretty great business with that. But they tend to think like, I want to get a piece of paper. What do I want for 4 years of my time and $400,000? A piece of paper saying, good job. I did my chores. Good job. Look at me. Please, can I have a job now? I spent $400,000 in 4 years of my time to ask you for a job. Look at my fancy piece of paper. I'm worth it. Maybe I don't have the tism and I just think logically and they're just crazy or something. I don't know. But I look at that and I go, that is absolutely redonkulous that people think that way. But there's so many people that think that way. It's like, I have my fancy golden ticket. I paid $400,000 for my fancy golden ticket. What do you mean? You must pay me. I'm valuable. Anyway, I digress. I've rambled for a long time. How long has this live stream been? 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's been a while, everybody, but I can still rant for a long time and probably say things that I shouldn't have said and probably go, crap, I shouldn't have said all those things. But you know what? I enjoy it. Maybe you're all my therapists. This was a therapy session. I appreciate you all. Rob, I should have listened to you back in 2022. Chief C, don't raise my ego like that, Chief. Clearly you can see my ego's out of control. You can't say that kind of thing. Talk about palladium. I was wrong about palladium. Tell them about palladium. I messed that one up pretty bad. Don't tell them about the things I did right. My ego can't take that. I appreciate it, Chief. But that we like honest conversation. I appreciate that. My engineering degree, I don't regret. Not Michael, talk about it. I'm curious. When did you go to school? How much did the school cost you? And what did you learn in school? Just so people know in the comments. Because again, there's going to be some things that I'm wrong about. Like if you took on, like I think of the person that got when I'm talking about college, I'm thinking about the person that wants to be an entrepreneur that got a business degree they paid $400,000 for. I think that's the specific person I'm talking about. I don't think I should be talking broadly, because if you want to be a lawyer, it's different. If you want to be a doctor, that's different. If you want to be these certain things, it's a little different. Still a lot of money to cost. You can do it in a cheaper way. I'd want to do it in a cheaper, more efficient way. But I'm specifically talking about the people that like, I'm a business degree. I'm a business major. It's like, well, you could have just done it. You could have just built a business. Bro, I went to school for photography. See, that's if you do it for like 10 grand or 20 grand a year, like if you do it for a smaller amount of money at like a community college or something that you didn't like go way out of the way for, then yes. But if you're putting yourself into a crazy amount of debt for something like photography, for example, the way I think, this is my brain, again, I could be completely wrong. I could be the stupid person here. But the way I think is if I want to be a photographer, someone just brought up they want to be a photographer, they went to photography school. If I want to be a photographer, I go, I have 10 grand in my bankroll, or I have a credit card that can let me put 10 grand on it. If I max out this credit card, I can go bankrupt on it. It won't even hold against me. Not saying you should do this. Credit's important. But you could use a $10,000 credit card and go buy the nicest camera ever for $8,000 and then get an iPhone for $1,000 and then go, I'm going to create an Instagram and call it, what's your name? RNDM. I'm going to call it RNDM Photography. That's the person who said this comment is first 4 digits, RNDM. I'm going to make an Instagram called RNDM Photography, and I'm going to go around and take photos of the beach. And then I'm going to go take photos for free of models because I like pretty girls. That's probably how I would do the photography. I'd go, I'm going to do photos for free of models because then I get to be around pretty girls all day, and I'll do your photos for free. You get to use your photos to get, thirst traps on your Instagram. I got you. Let's do this. I would start posting those pretty girls on my RNDM photography page on Instagram with my camera that I paid for $8,000. And then I would grow a business around that. And then eventually it would get so much followers and so much traction that people would want to pay me to do the photography gigs. But there's people out there that go, I'm going to go $200,000 in debt, not buy the camera, let the school provide me like the camera, and then I'm stuck with this $200,000 bill. But now I got a degree in photography and I get to, do this. Me personally, I would rather use my $10,000 credit card, buy the $8,000 camera, start an Instagram with an iPhone, and take pictures of pretty girls all day. That's just me personally. That's how if you want to know an insight into my brain, what I would think about if I want to be a photographer, that's how I would do it. That's how I think. So maybe I'm crazy, but yeah, and watch YouTube on how to become a photographer. Exactly, Rob G. That would be my take. Loaner camera. So they did give a loaner camera. See, I'm just completely talking off the cuff. I don't know exactly how it would go down, but I'd imagine it was be something like that. But yeah, that would be the way I would. That is the best reason to get into photography. You see, I get to the end point. I get to where I want to go. That's where I want to go. Pretty girls. I'm going to that direction. Did you know that there was a study with chimps, and I believe this is actually true, is there was a study with chimps where they gave them gold coins, and they could use these gold coins to like give themselves a drink or something. They're like, you can get food with these gold coins. And they gave a bunch of gold coins to one of the chimps, and the chimp immediately gave it to the girls and said, I want to hook up with you. Here's gold coins. And these are our closest ancestors. We are very basic creatures. This is all we can do as a man. This is how our brain works. We're just intelligent chimps. That's pretty much it. 2 years, RN degree back in the 90s, no debt when college was affordable. That's what we need to get back to. I'm not saying like college is a horrible thing and needs to be outlawed. I'm just saying it needs to get back to that. Exactly that. Rob 94 Hawk, 2 years, RN degree back in the 90s, no debt when college was affordable. It needs to be like that. Why are we ruining our youth? Why are the youth getting in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt? And then the problem is once you're in that much debt, you are forced to not have creativity. You are forced to go, I have to work this job. I have to get on this hamster wheel. There is no possible way for me to dig out of the cage. A homeless person has more freedom because they don't have this debt burdening them forever for the rest of their life at 7% interest. Of course, they want to get their student loans removed. Like that's their freedom is being limited. It's like it's a way to have modern slavery is debt. Debt is the way to keep a modern slave. It's the truth. But yeah, I think that if the government got out of the school system, that's why when they deleted the Department of Education, me personally, a lot of people in the comments over here, a lot of people watching this live stream, we probably think similar, where it's like, great. It doesn't mean the school system's going to be gone. It means it's going to go back to the individual states. And some states will do a better job than other states, and people will move to those states because it's more safe for their kids, or they have a better school system for their kids. And that's the way it was meant to be. The government was literally meant to be this small overwatch entity with limited confines. This is the way the Constitution's written. It's supposed to be a small entity above the states, this small little entity that keeps us out of wars. They do a terrible job at their one job. Terrible job at their one job. But that was their one job. Keep us out of wars, keep world peace, get trade going all right, okay. Nothing more than that. You're not supposed to be involved in our health. You're not supposed to be involved in our school system. You're not supposed to be involved in our day-to-day life, our loans, all this crap. You weren't supposed to be tinkering with our monetary supply. You were supposed to just keep us out of wars. That was your job. And you messed that one job up. That was it. But no, everyone thinks like, oh, the government, they need to have the Department of Education. They need to have all these crazy studies and things that don't even exist. They need to have buildings that are empty, but somehow have employees that need to be paid to be in these empty buildings, but they don't exist and they're just sitting at home in their pajamas. This is what the government needs to be. It's like, no, it's not. It's supposed to be this little entity that keeps us out of crap. It's like that's all they were supposed to be. But no, they've turned into this crazy Orwellian thing. So I look at Doge. Doge, for example, I watched the clip. Let me see if I could pull that up, actually. I'm remembering how to do these live streams. I was a little nervous because this is the first live stream I've done in it's kind of rough, but like in a year or two. No, like 2 years. So I'm learning. But let me see here. Someone's gonna know that I haven't made a video in a long time. They're gonna be like, "What in the world?" He comes back after 2 years and is just ranting for 2.5 hours or something about all crazy kinds of stuff that's probably gonna get me in trouble for talking about. But you know what? I don't care. This is the video I'm talking about that happened 9 days ago. Hang on. This with Elon sitting with the entire team and everyone in this room here is like a heavy hit
of a Small Business Administration loans that has been given out to people under the age of 11.
Can you hear this in the background, by the way? Like, how does this sound?
Age of 11 and over 300 million to over the age of 120.
Definitely.
Small business loans.
Correct.
Yes. The oldest American is 114. So it's safe to say if their age is 115 or above, they're fake. Or they should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we should not be giving out loans to babies. So the youngest recipient of a small business.
So like, there's a lot of people that will read a headline and they won't watch this actual video. And I know this is on Fox, so there's going to be people that, oh, Fox lies about everything because they're hardcore Republican. Like, but no, listen. I don't care about what network it's on. I care about we got 8 people in this room with Elon Musk. So there's 8 people in this room. These are all the people behind Doge. They're all successful people with their own businesses. They're already successful. They're just there for free. They're working for free. These are already successful people just working for free because they want the country to do well. That's the craziest part. Elon specifically could sell 1% of his net worth and be chilling on an island somewhere that he bought with a super yacht. He could do whatever you want. Like, quite frankly, I don't think I know if I would be doing the same thing as Elon. If I was in his position, I probably would be in Barbados with like a pretty model or something. I don't know exactly how I would be doing it, but I don't know if I would be doing this specifically if I was Elon. But this is what he's doing. We have an American patriot with 8 very successful people, 7 other very successful people, 8 including him, and they sit down and do this 20-minute interview talking about every single thing, being as transparent as can be. And then there's somebody that reads a headline about how, oh, he deleted this and he wants he's going to take over and it's like, he's very vocally sitting down with very intelligent people telling you exactly what they found, proof of exactly what they found, and there's still people talking bad about this. And it's like, I want to bet on this guy. You mean to tell me his stock cut in half? This guy? The guy who re-landed a rocket with astronauts and has self-driving cars, and I have the car and it's like an incredible piece of machinery and I can't live without it now? Yeah, I'm going to bet on this. I'm going to bet on this. Yep. I'm going to bet on that. That one you can, please hit the stock harder, but drop it down to 120. I'll take some more shares, please. Please talk bad about this guy. Like, just make his stock cheaper for me, please. Like, you mean to tell me this guy is the one you're burning his cars and you're calling him all these kinds of horrible things? This is the one? The one that just caught a bunch of people that were 120 years old stealing money from us, from the taxpayers? The one that just caught a bunch of babies that are somehow receiving Social Security checks? That's the guy you don't like? I'm going to bet on that guy. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put some money on this guy. The guy's, keep talking bad about him. You mean to tell me this is the guy you're betting against? You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. This is a guy who built re-landing rockets from nothing, blew up hundreds of millions of dollars to create a successful rocket company. You're going to bet against him? Perfect. Please, short interest accrue. Short Tesla. Please put a bunch of short money on Tesla. Oh my God. This is the guy they're betting against. Incredible. Incredible. Anyway, it's crazy to me. Like they were literally it wasn't loans to baby. They were giving them Social Security checks. Babies were receiving Social Security checks. It's banana sandwich. It's totally banana sandwich. This world's crazy. You shouldn't have done the stupid salute, Elon. You shouldn't have done the stupid salute. I don't think that was good for you. I think they really were able to capitalize on that. The dude had a little moment and thought it would be funny to do a salute, and then that's what happened. And to be honest, if I was him, me personally, I don't think I would have done that in the first place, even if I was trolling. But he did do that. I think I would have owned up to it and just been like, I was trolling. I was trolling. I'm obviously clearly not this N-word party, the other N-word for the 4-letter word of I'm not allowed to say on YouTube, I think. I think they'll be mad at me if I say it. But I'm not that, obviously. I thought it would be funny to do it because people said that I was that, and I thought it was so ridiculous that they called me that I did that. That's what I think he did. That's what I think it was his gesture. I think that's the whole gist of it. And then someone told me, or somebody in his team said you can't own up to it. But I think you should have owned up to it. But the last thing I want to talk about with Tesla stock, actually, specifically, is how do you even value this? How do you feel? Oh, I'm going to start posting on X a little bit, but this is my X account. But let me go to Elon really quick. Hang on here. There he is. How do you even value this? In a world that's like attention is value, right? Like we live in an attention-based world. How do you value a person that is the most followed person in the entire world? So that's not even an asset of Tesla, like on their balance sheet. But like Tesla's the only public company you can't invest in X, you can't invest in his AI company, you can't invest in SpaceX, but you can invest in Tesla. That's the only public company you can invest in that has Elon Musk involved in it. How do you value that the leader of your company is the most followed person in the world? Any product you tweet, any single product you come out with, anything you do, how much is a tweet worth? $1 billion? Like $1 billion per tweet? You know, like Kylie Jenner or whatever, like one of these famous Instagram people, if they make a post, it's worth like $2-3 million or something like that. What's a tweet from Elon worth? Especially if he owns that company making that product. I talked about this before he bought Twitter. I actually said that it was a great idea to buy. He's going to buy Twitter because he can't afford to get deleted. If he got deleted off of Twitter, I would argue at the time before he bought X, I think I have a video on, I'm pretty sure someone might be able to tell me I'm pretty sure I talked about this. But if he got deleted off Twitter when he didn't own it, I think that would cause like a 20% correction in Tesla stock. Like it's that valuable to have that much influence on a social media platform that I think it would have dramatically hurt Tesla stock or any of his companies if he got deleted and he had no voice on social media. So by him buying Twitter, it enhanced the value of Tesla probably by, I'm going to say this is kind of crazy, but probably by like hundreds of billions of dollars. Probably by hundreds of billions of dollars. By him buying X, or Twitter, now called X, it probably enhanced the value of his company by hundreds of billions. Because now if this new Model Y comes out, he can just tweet, check out this new product. He's using it currently for a bunch of crazy reasons. He's like all political and doing a bunch of stuff. I think he's doing the right thing in most of the stuff he's doing, if not all of it. But he could be using that when he focuses on like monetization, and he focuses on like showing his products out there and you know the tech and the things he's working on. There's no way to value. It's worth way more than the $40 billion he paid for. He stole it. For anybody else, if another billionaire bought it for $40 billion, stupid move, way overpaid for it. But Elon buying it and then also being the most famous person on that platform that now he can't get deleted off of that platform. He has a voice indefinitely forever. It's worth way more than that. It's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And I would argue like if he got deleted, he would have lost hundreds of billions of dollars in Tesla stock. So it's like it was a no-brainer decision to buy X. So Elon's, you know what I will say? Elon is a master of like hiding the good and just only focusing like hiding the benefits, I guess. Because he said like, oh, I overpaid for Twitter. He knows he didn't overpay. He knows he stole it. He wanted to own it. He wanted to have freedom of speech. He wanted these things. These are benefits. But he knew how valuable it was to him specifically. He knows he stole it. He knows it for a fact. He probably would have liked to get it a little cheaper, but he knows specifically with him, he should have bought it. He could have bought it for $100 billion and would have stole it. He could have paid $100 billion for that, and it would have been an absolute theft. That's just my take on it. That's how I think. But anyway, that was the last point I want to talk about with Tesla. How do you even value your CEO having it? It's way bigger than, like, Steve Jobs was huge, but he didn't have no 220 million followers on a platform he owned. He didn't have that. He had like modern TV or like old fashioned TV. Like, he didn't have this kind of reach. So crazy amount of reach that he has from that. And yeah, and he doesn't pay for advertising either. So it's like, how do you, and people want to bet against that? You want to bet against that? That's crazy. That's lunatic behavior. You want to bet against the guy with 220 million followers on the platform he owns with self-driving cars that fully work as of today with fully built gigafactories shooting out cars like machine gun bullets all over in different continents, fully built out. A Shanghai factory, fully built. Berlin factory, fully built. Nevada factory, fully built. Fremont factory, fully built. Just completely pumping out over 100,000 employees. And you want to bet against that. You want to say that's going to fall. So you're an idiot. Please short more. Like, that's my take. Is it overvalued on a price to earnings ratio? Yeah. But when they have self-driving cars and they have robo-taxis and they're making their own robo-taxis at full scale, they will be more profitable not even making cars for the general public. Just making their own fleets to be picking up people and driving around and doing their own Uber service, paying off the cars themselves, and then just the cars will be worth 10 times more doing that. So it's like people want to bet again. And then also the bet he made on Trump was an incredible, talk about an asymmetric perfect bet, because now he's probably not going to have regulations to do the full self-driving. Now the things that he wants to do, and by the way, people will talk about that and be like, oh, he's benefiting himself. He's benefiting himself. He's going to get all of these government contracts and this and that, and he's benefiting himself. Who else could have picked up the astronauts from the sky? Who else could do it? He deserves these contracts. You moron. Who could have picked the astronauts? Nobody. They were stuck. Only he could have done it. And it's that same way with all the contracts he's gotten. Nobody else could have done it. All the NASA contracts. Boeing wanted them. They all wanted them. They couldn't do the job. He could. So that's why he was awarded these. He deserved the contracts. And they keep thinking like he didn't deserve. No, he deserved them. He won them fair and square. And quite frankly, nobody else was even there to compete because he was the only one capable of doing it. He was the only person that was that much of a lunatic that said, I can re-land rockets. I can do it at a more efficient cost because I don't have to blow up the rocket when I'm done. I can re-land them. Everybody probably looked at that and said, you're out of your mind. And he said, nope, I can do it. And then he did it. And then people are mad he got the contract. Surrounded by a lot of crazy people, man. But that's my my rant for today. I'm pretty hungry. I need to eat something. But I really enjoyed talking with you all today. I miss being in here. I miss reading all the comments, and I need to do this more often. I've made 3 videos now, including this live stream in the past 3 days. So we're on a roll here. I'm going to try my best to keep making as much content as possible while running my business, while doing all the crazy stuff that I'm working on. But I forgot. I had gotten distracted and maybe lost a little bit of my confidence to make videos and stuff for a little while there. And I apologize for being gone for 2 years. Again, I don't really have an excuse. I could try to tell you some excuses. Really, I'm just focusing on putting myself in a position like we talked about in this video, that Gambler movie, like when the position of FU, I've been working on that. I'm working really hard on that, and I'm getting closer to that. And I have a lot of ideas that revolve around social media and this YouTube channel and growing a podcast and doing all these different things. And I need a lot of capital to do that. And unfortunately, I don't come from money. So now that I have some money and I'm doing pretty well, I plan to deploy that and do these things that I'm working on. So I'm trying to get myself in that position. And I think that if I do have one excuse, that is my excuse. I'm working really hard to put myself in a position of FU. And I want to be the first. There's always some renegade member of a certain family that makes sure that the rest of the lineage lives pretty well. And I want to be that person in my family because I didn't have that person. I didn't have any person. So for me, it's just I want to be the person that breaks free from that and has and puts the people that are in my family tree in a position of FU, so to speak, so that they can do what they want to do. Because there was many things I wanted to do when I was younger. I'm 31 now, getting a little older. And there's many things I wanted to do when I was in my early 20s, and I couldn't because I didn't have the ability to do it. So I also, for anybody watching this that's saying I'm stuck in a 9 to 5 and I'm stuck on this hamster wheel of life and this and that, I resonate with that. I know what that feels like. I get it. And all I can say is you got to figure out some way to escape. And I'm working really, really, even after I escaped. And I can pretty clearly say I escaped from it and I'll never fall back into it. But even after I escaped, it's so scary to me to be on that hamster wheel, to be stuck in that confine of living paycheck to paycheck, that even when I get way further ahead, it's not enough. I'm too scared to fall back. I want to keep working super, super hard to just make sure I never get back to that because it's so painful not knowing if you're going to have enough money to pay for your groceries and all this. I really, really feel for you if you're in that position, and I hope that you figure out a way to get out of it because that is the American dream. It really is. I really appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everybody watching. Have a great rest of your night. I plan to be making a lot more videos. If you want to subscribe and you're not subscribed, feel free to do it. Feel free not to do it. Would be cool if you did. Be a lot cooler if you did. But I appreciate it all. And I'm also going to start posting more on Instagram and stuff as well. I want to start getting more ramped up into my social medias and everything. So we're going to be doing that. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. I haven't been in a live stream so long that I don't even know which button to click on this little stream deck to end the live stream. So I'm going to try to figure this out with my click button here. I'm very happy that this worked, by the way. There's about a 50-50 chance of this not working. So I think it did work, and I think the quality was good. So figured it out. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. See you later.